Well, good. God, I can't even say it out loud. It's been so long. Wait, let me get my words back, y'all. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's edition of Beyond the Ordinary Show. And it's been weeks or months or years since I felt like I've been gone and come back. And April and the guests have done such a wonderful job of just keeping the energy running so beautifully and pristinely, and to be honest with you, perhaps even leveling it up as I've been leveling up on my trips and going through some deep initiations and connecting to places and things that have an intelligence to share. It's how we listen and how we integrate and how we have intimacy and relationship with those things that we all grow from. And I'm so excited about today's call because I have one of my favorite people, just with such integrity of presence and such a drive to share heart truth and heart wisdom in an embodied way. And so it's just to be back finally on BTO after a little hiatus and to come to this call is just so timely for me. So I want to thank all of y'all for being on tonight's call with us, and congratulate you for what you're about to receive. So it's funny, today we're talking about rocks as messengers, accessing wisdom of the ages. And I'm in Houston, Texas today, visiting my daughter, who I haven't visited in Houston in, I'm embarrassed to say how long. But yesterday, I was driving around and I dropped off at work. I'm using her car and I'm guided to look for a spiritual store. It's like, why am I looking for a spiritual store? It's like, I have access to it all the time, but no, it kept calling me. And it took me to this place that all they do is sell stones and minerals. And I'll share one with you. I got this one for my daughter yesterday, plus a couple of other ones. And I'd completely forgotten that today's topic is rocks as messengers. And so we're diving in. What's the meaning? Why was I called to gift my daughter this stone and another stone that I can pull it up a little bit later? Why do some stones call me and others don't? Why did I have to buy these shungites and obsidians and these perurite bracelets that are just, I had to wear when I've been wearing anything for a long time? And Anna Maria is going to illuminate the power, the calling, and again, the relationship. And so if y'all have a stone that you like to play with that calls to you, perhaps you want to take a couple of minutes as I go into the introduction and bring it into the space with you. Maybe there's a message that we can get to a little bit later that Anna Maria can decipher for you as we go through a Q&A also. But again, we're going to go deep into conversation. And so let me read to you some of what Anna Maria wrote here, and I'll stop being so wordy because I really want to get into today's call. So Anna Maria wrote, calling all rock lovers. Anna Maria Vasquez, a multisensory animal and nature intuitive, has a profound connection with rocks as they continue to remind her of the amazing collaboration between humans and rocks. The stone beings helped Anna stand in her knowingness about the harmonic connection to the natural realm and uncover the science that backs up this ancient wisdom. Our connection to rocks as harmonic healers on this planet is profound. And despite of all of our scientific advancements, we have a very shallow understanding of rocks. Most people see rocks simply as a backdrop to their lives. Society as a whole has forgotten this connection and activation available to us as humans. And the rocks on this planet are encoded with harmonic information for humans. The rocks can help us access the deep healing and connection we're longing for. As a shamanic practitioner, Anna Maria is able to connect you with this energy and hold the space for the full infusion and wholeness to take place that produces real shifts in your 3D world. Anna Maria understands the potency of aligning with the ancient wisdom of the rocks. She also has an amazing ability to explain complex spiritual principles in practical ways. The understanding of these principles allows for a shifting of how we move through our life. And you're being invited to remember your connection with these stone beings. So if you feel that you're drawn to the rocks, stones, pebbles, boulders then there's definitely worth your time to be on this call and invite other like-hearted souls who feel that mineral connection in a profound way. So I'm grateful that you're joining us and Anna Maria in the Sacred Stone Circle as she shares about rocks as messengers. And here we grow again. Anna Maria, welcome to today's call. Thank you for being here.
Hey, John, I am so grateful to be here. And there's so many synchronicities, right? Like, I love your community. And so I always want to bring, right? Like the newest, the best, the next level of whatever it is that's coming through for me. And so we've known for months, right? Like that we were going to do this. And I knew it was time to call this course forward. It's been coming through in bits and pieces, like little pebbles over the last couple of years. And I really got the call to do it for this time. So, I've been working on it. And then all of a sudden, was it last week? As I was finishing up, the modules in the course and making sure, post-production kinds of things, all of a sudden I got this invite to go to Crestone to do some shamanic geomancy, which is working with some ancient, in this case, it's working with some ancient, like ancient, thousands of year old stone seats that have been put by people, we don't know who it was, but in very specific places on this sacred land. And the various seats, and I mean, there's dozens and dozens of them. And they're put up and they are in different astroarchaeological alignment. They're lined up to different planets. There's all of this amazingness. And I get to work with a colleague and a friend who is like other level. He has been teaching Western versions of vision quests and connecting with the earth since the 40s. Right? So he is a master at this. And I was finishing up the last module, and all of a sudden it was like getting hit with a rock, right? Like, stop. And they're like, don't do it. And I was like, don't do it. I have a deadline. What do you mean, don't do it? And they said, it's fine. You've got everything else there, but this one module, you need to wait. So tomorrow, I'm headed into the mountains and the woods in Crestone, Colorado, which is a very auspicious place, powerful, potent vortex, to go spend time with these stone seats and to receive some more information. And I received this huge download that there are pieces that John's going to give me, John Milton is his name, that need to be included, that need to come through. And so they're like, hold off. So, people will see on the access page, everything's there except this one course, and it says coming soon. And so I'm headed off for 4 days into the woods. And then when I come back, they told me I could record that very last module. So I feel like everything is still even unfolding, right? Like, this is so exciting. And we know so many amazing practitioners talk about crystals, right? Like, there's so much great information out there and all of the connections to Atlantis and Lemuria, but the rocks, right? Like the actual rocks, the stones, the pebbles, the boulders, the rock formations, that's what really wanted to come through. And there is all of this ancient technology that is imprinted into rocks, which is why we feel compelled to grab them and throw them in our pockets.
I love it. I love that you talk about this, truly, because as I see it, and I've traveled to a lot of different places, and the land calls me. And people talk about receiving codes and galactic information and seeing fractals and having visions and algorithms and all that. But I really see, as we're going into octaves that we haven't accessed before, becoming aware of our capacity to, perhaps, that these codes within the earth plane, these codes within the minerals, these codes within the rocks are becoming more transparent to us. We're unlocking those codes, and they don't have to be so ethereal. They're right here in front of us.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. And we've forgotten, and I say this all the time, when we came out of the woods and started living in the cities, we forgot a lot of the ancient wisdom. And then the modern aspects have taken over, and we've just completely forgotten, and we've turned our power over to outside sources. And there is a potency and an amplification and codes and harmonics and frequencies and all of this that are available to us when we lean in to that curiosity, when we lean into that draw that we have to the rocks, right? Like, I'm talking to the people who walked around with pockets full of rocks, the people who have a basket full of rocks, they've got so many rocks going around. And I've talked to people who rescue rocks from other places. And so I know that this resonates for folks. And to be able to, like, on one level, it's just a rock, right? It's a piece of the earth. There's geology involved, but there's this deeper level of connecting with it and collaborating with, right? Like, because we're moving from doing things to the natural world to being in collaboration with it. And when we consciously interact with the stone beings in the rocks, pebbles, stones, rock formations, we are able to activate certain frequencies that amplify whatever intentions we're putting out there. And so it's important that we understand that, and we understand how to interact. And then we can even take it deeper and start to work with specific configurations of stones, right? Like, think about all the different stone structures around the world: stone circles, Avebury, Stonehenge, the Nazca lines. It goes on and on. And they weren't just grabbing a stone here or there and making a pile. Like, the stones that they picked were very specific, and they had to travel oftentimes hundreds of miles to get a particular stone, because each particular stone, each rock, has its own frequency, its own vibration. And so you want certain ones to work with, again, depending on what you're doing. The ancients would pick either moon rocks or sun rocks to create their solar temples or their moon temples. And I mean, ancient Egypt is full of it as well. And the beauty is that the ancients knew that they could affect the geomagnetic field of the earth in a particular space by working with rocks in particular ways. And it acts as a shield, right? So in this 3D density, we feel so much that interferes with that flow, with that download, with the wisdom, the guidance, the information. And so when we activate stones and we work with them, the science has actually shown that the geomagnetic field within the circle is different. And it allows our body to produce different chemicals because it's not being bombarded with the geomagnetic field, and things like DMT, which we know creates and allows us to have a profound spiritual experience. So when we are collaborating with the rocks, we can essentially create sacred spaces, vortices, wherever we go. And we have access to these little power plants. And again, it's these natural allies that are helping us. They want us. They've been waiting, like the trees and the animals. They've been waiting for us to remember so that we can take this to the next level, heal ourselves, and heal the planet.
Yeah, I love that you're talking about this, and it's profound for me. You talked about Avebury, which, if y'all aren't familiar, it's, think of Stonehenge, but wider, about, I don't know, 30 miles to the north. I don't know what direction. It's in that area, but the experience I had in Avebury and being in the middle of that geomagnetic field and the visions that there was nothing like I ever had before, not into Egypt, into the caves in southern France and all that. And those were phenomenal also, but there was something about that configuration that lit me up, was so crazy. So this intelligence and this access that you talk about is so profound. But before we get into what you're receiving from the stones, and the translation of that, and also sharing how we can have more consciousness with that intelligence. I, I have a very specific question that I think it's important to address, because again, so many of us are drawn to crystals or stones and we pick things up. But again, I picked up this stone that I bought for my daughter yesterday, and it's beautiful and it's wonderful. But how do we know that they're consciously being mined and manufactured, and what effect does that have on the relationship that we have with something that we put in our vicinity?
Right. We don't, right? Unless you know the miners. Like I live in a mining state, right? Like Colorado is a big mining state. So I do have friends who are miners. And some of them, I agree with how they proceed. And some of them, ooh, they're going to have some interesting karma to have to account for the way that they've treated the earth. So you're right. Like we have to bring this whole life consciousness in. And that actually brings one of the fundamental pieces forward, where we see a rock that we like and we just grab it and we take it. We're very much like toddlers, is how the trees have explained it to me. We're cute as heck and we've got good intentions, but we have really bad manners. And you've got a rock that's in its own ecosystem there. And first of all, it might not want to work with you. It might be busy doing something else. It's already playing a part there. So we have to ask first before we remove a rock from, or a crystal or a stone or any of these pieces from its space. And so the folks who've got their intuitive channels already flowing, you know, they'll hear the yes or the no, or they'll see a yes or a no, or they will have the knowingness. The folks who are just working on it, you ask the question, do you feel heavy? Do you feel light?
Mm.
Do you feel drawn forward or pushed backwards? Those are the things that are going to tell you. And again, it's not to make anyone feel bad, right? Like, because I got a whole box of rocks that I've had before I knew anything about them. But it's a learning point for us. And the more in depth of respect that we give to the natural world, the more she reveals to us. So it's a fair exchange of energy. So the first thing, again, whether you're looking at crystals, whether you're looking at stones, whether you're looking at trees, little woodland animals, ask first, do they want to work with you? Do they want to leave that space? And that opens up a door to go in even deeper.
That's beautiful. I love the way that you explained that. So let's get into the juiciness of it. So who are these stone beings, Anna Maria? What's your relationship and understanding of who they are, and what our symbiotic relationship is with them?
Right. So we know that there is energy in everything, right? And everything has its own frequency and harmonic and vibration. And so we look like this as humans, and our animals look like the animals, but we can see that there's a spark, there's an essence, there's an energy that's presenting itself. When we look at a tree, even, we can feel that too, right? Like we feel that auric field of the tree. But with the rocks, we don't always feel that, right? Like they kind of have become just this background that is just there. And so we want to remember this unity consciousness where this life force energy flows through everything. Every rock that is on this planet that we see is part of Mother Earth. But even before it was part of Mother Earth, it was part of the cosmos.
Mm.
And through the bumping into each other and the falling apart and the colliding and this and that, it came here. But every rock has galactic imprinting on it from the birth of the multiverse. And that's a potent energy. And so the energy of rocks and the stone beings, you know, that's very interchangeable there. It's subtle and we will miss it if we're not paying attention, right? Like it's not this, hey, look at me kind of energy. It's very subtle. And that's why you can walk right past it and not even notice. So we want to acknowledge and honor that life force energy that's in everything and see it all as our kin, right? Like those rocks are my family. The trees are my family, the animals are my family, just like my family is my family. But they look different, right? And the way that their energy moves is different. And so this is a subtle energy that we're learning to tap into. And again, when that fair exchange of energy is met, it opens up really like a portal for us. And the easiest way to explain it is with manifesting, right? Like we can use it for so many things, but our manifesting is where it will amplify those intentions that we're putting out there, the things we're releasing, the things that we're calling in. So it's like, it's like back in the Bible, wherever two or more are gathered. They didn't say people, So you're with your rock friends, you're with your tree friends, and you're making that connection. And you're asking that the highest and best be there for you and for this other being who happens to be in the form of a rock or a pebble or a stone or a rock face or a canyon wall. So those energies and those beings, they have way longer life contracts, right? Like soul contracts than we have. I mean, even trees, hundreds of years, even a couple thousand years. But when you get into the rocks, we're talking millennia. And there are these energies, and sometimes it's a soul that has chosen to incarnate and hold the space, as this standing stone or as a rock face, or as part of a bigger rock that has now eroded off and it's a smaller rock. And sometimes it's just this universal energy that's there. And so people who have, excuse me, the folks who have that connection with the elementals, they will oftentimes see the faces or the forms either in a rock or in a wall or in a standing stone. And that is one way that they know what energies, what spirits are in there. But folks like me, I don't always see them. I mean, if someone points it out to me, I'm like, oh yeah, there you go. But it's not the way my energy flows. Like I feel it and I hear it, or I get a picture in my mind first. So I know that something's going on there. But that's the beauty. Like we're all unique, and the way that we each flow energy is a little bit different. So once we understand the basics of the mechanics of the energy going on with the rocks, well, then we start to lean into it with our own flow and how it comes through for us. And we're able to bring forward wisdom and manifest in ways like never before.
Oh, it's amazing what shows up. And again, the wisdom that comes through it's really profound. And again, through some of my own direct experiences with it, it's these things that would seem so out of left field. I mean, talking left of woo-woo would kind of like, how am I getting? It's like, okay, but it would somehow transpire and translate and be so applicable. And I shared this with everybody on the call to really trust your own relationship with the guidance that you're receiving. And I love that you talk about that you don't have to receive it in a certain way, Anna-Maria. Someone else might see it, but you interpret it differently. And that's so beautiful, because the expression in which you receive it in and then translate it for others to receive, it's so personalized for what wants to be translated through that intelligence again. So not dismissing what we're receiving, but again, being in relationship and curiosity and wonder with it is really expanding all of us in ways, as opposed to getting dogmatic into this stone's going to ground you in and help you with electromagnetics. Yes, but what else?
Yes,
and being open to that,
exactly.
right?
And you just worded that so perfectly. And as an intuitive energy tracker, right? Like I combine symbology, whether it's of a tree, a rock, or an animal, with that intuitive flow and connecting to get those messages. So just like with the animals and the trees, it's the same with the rock. So rocks in general, they've got some generic energies, right? Like you're going to know they stand for patience and strength and resiliency, and there's some overarching kinds of energies that are there. but then you've got a specific stone. And so based on how that stone, that rock was formed, right? Was it from fire? Was it from pressure? Was it from water? That's going to dictate the specific energy in that rock, right? So a granite rock is going to have a different property than, say, a limestone rock or stone or piece of that bedrock or something to that effect. And then you take it down even to the next level. So you've connected, you're like, oh, I'm connecting with the stones. Okay, I know there's some patience here they're gonna, help me with. And now I've got this limestone that's got this feminine energy and asking me to surrender to divine timing. And then that's like priming the pump. And then you sit and you breathe and you wait. And rocks, hello, again, patience, you've got to slow down. There were many times during the development of the course I was like, I need the information now. And they're like, wait. And I'm like, oh.
Now to an energy being is one thing as compared to a rock, right?
Yes, I'm like, dogs talk to me and cats talk to me. Even cats talk to me. So I don't know why you're being a problem, Rock.
Oh my God, it's so funny. I didn't mention this earlier, and I do want to mention it now. There's an opportunity for you guys to raise your hand and simply ask for your rock energy reading. We're going to get into that in a little bit, and this is going to be so much fun. We're going to go through a little bit more of the intelligence that Anna Marie is going to share, and also the special offer. We'll go through it later. There's a couple of offers in there, which are so phenomenal. And package B in that offer, of course, includes the opportunity to work one-on-one with Anna Maria in a private session, including these modules that you're going to receive. I wanted to bring that up now so that you'll be aware, but also to encourage you guys to raise your hand and to know that we're going to get into even more fun as the readings come up. So this is wonderful. Anyway, what's the message from the rocks? What's the biggest messages that these formations, that these minerals, that these beings have for us?
To me, the rocks are the poster child for change, right? Like, again, you look at them and you're like, not much is happening, right? Like, you can even drive past the same rocks and stones and mountains and be like, well, it doesn't look like it's changing. But they are the poster child for change because they are continually in the process of evolution. They also teach us about reinvention and even reincarnation, because it's the same being, right, that started out as this volcanic spew of all these minerals, and then it becomes, this lava rock. It becomes this basalt, this obsidian, this pumice, and then the elements start to affect that, and pieces break off, thawing and freezing and water and wind, and it starts to break off. And then that blows around and it starts to layer itself. And the pressure from the layering will create a new kind of stone. So then you've got a sedimentary stone, right? And so the energy has shifted, but it's the same beings and it's the same energies, but they've shifted their form. And so this piece where, when we're on our path and we're like, all right, I already called this in. Why isn't it here? Right? Then the rocks are like, oh my goodness, surrender to divine timing, get some perspective. We're in this for the long haul. It's not this immediate piece. Like, we want to do the bewitched thing and, I can't even do it, wiggle our nose and something happens. And it's not that we can't, right? It's not that we can't, but it's about learning how to harness these subtle energies of the natural world to create that. Once we learn how to do that, then we can do these other things. I'm thinking about ancient Egypt, especially with what they were able to do and what they knew versus what we're able to do and what we know and the limitations that we put on ourselves. But this piece about having patience, right? Like, humans, we're so impatient, and I will put myself in that group, right? Like, I already got mad at the rocks. Like, why won't you give me the information quicker? But it's about having that perspective. It's about slowing down to actually hear the message, right? Because the messages that are coming from our higher selves, from the divine, from our guides, from the natural world, it doesn't come in in this loud voice, pick me, pick me. It's that still, small voice. And we don't slow down and we don't get quiet. We don't get still enough to hear it. We already know what we want to hear. And so we just kind of go with that.
Yeah, it's convenient to want what we want. Right.
Amen.
Very convenient to what we want, but then what's the gift of receiving something that we didn't know we were capable of receiving or open to? And
And
that's what
there's
really
some
like.
worth issues in there, right? Like we
Yeah.
think we're only worthy to get this, or what else could it be? Or I heard on this one summit they said this, right? And that's all it can be then. But we limit ourselves so much, and this is a limitless, infinite universe. And
Mm.
so when we close ourselves off to other possibilities, like I'm going into the woods tomorrow, up into the mountains with this beginner mind, right? Like I know a lot about rocks. I know a lot about nature. I know a lot, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not going to show off what I know. I'm going for the natural world to reveal herself to me at a deeper level, to come and bring the honoring and the gratitude for everything that the natural world provides. And in that, perhaps I'll be gifted another level of information, another level of expansion. And my teacher mind is always like, how can I share that? How can I share more of that? So I would ask that this beautiful tribe hold the space, right? Because I'm going into the listening for our tribes.
I love that.
That's what I go into it for, right? Because I know how important it is for us to remember these aspects. We think we're these little puny humans, that are at the effect of whatever the governments are deciding to do or whatever this or that. And that's just some bullshit. That is not how it is. We are absolutely creators in our own lives, and we can shift things. And if other people aren't choosing to create those things, they can live in whatever society they're choosing to create and go along with. But I'm choosing a life that's expansive and allows me my freedom and my deep, deep connection with the natural world.
I love that. And there's so many narratives about different elements and stories about what people should expect. And then just to reflect on an old story, because it's so relevant to me, and just to share with the audience and love your take on it also. I was on the Big Island in Hawaii, and I was visiting the formation where the lava was going in, and the lava was flowing into the ocean, and we're standing on this beautiful lava and steam's coming up, and everybody's like, oh my God, Big Island, it's going to bring up all your stuff. It's volcanic energy. It's there to dispel, and people have a fear of it. I don't want to be on Big Island or in Bali, the volcanic energy or things like that. It's the same type of narrative. It's going to bring up your stuff. And people's like, I don't know if I want to be there. And I was just sitting there and I was watching the beauty of, again, this lava flow going into the ocean and what was forming, the steam coming up. And I just heard the land and the stones talking to me. It's like, you misunderstand me. People misunderstand. I'm not doing this for something against. I am taking this on, transmuting this and going through this process because I love you so much. This isn't about punishing you or bringing about your stuff. I am here in honor to take your things upon myself and to transmute it and to convert it and dump it into the water and convert it to steam to release it out into the universe. And so again, if we can change our perspective into one of love rather than into one of shaming or guilting or punishment, our ability to transform in the way that we really desire really grows exponentially. But we have to let go of the narratives and also mature in a way that we're showing up not as the little kids grabbing the rocks and doing something with it and then believing the stories that we've been told because they felt like good stories, but really owning our own story in the narrative.
Yes. And it's so true. We've taken on other people's stuff and misinterpretations, right? It's same thing with like shadow animals and all of this, like, oh, this is a bad omen or this is that, volcanic energy. Yeah, it's explosive. It's big stuff. but it's also got such a healing quality on us for our emotions that are in the eruption, because it can bring a calmness to it, because it knows how to work with that energy in a way that maybe we're not as astute at. But again, we've got centuries and centuries of misinformation that's been put on us, pushed by agendas that didn't want the savages to stay connected to the land. And so they built their churches on top of sacred spaces that were already PowerPoints on the earth. And then they put their story on top of it, right? And I'm not trying to make anyone bad, because they really believe they were doing it out of Christ's love. It was very misguided, but that was their belief. And so, but we have to claim our knowingness and our relation. We are nature. Humans, we are nature. We're part of nature. Everything in our body is part of nature, right? Like that's why we resonate, right? Like harmonics. There's a connection made in our body, just like in any ancient temples, even the Gothic churches, you've got this granite and this limestone. So you've got this connection of the iron that matches the iron dissolved in our blood. There's a resonance there. Then you've got the silica that resonates, and the other minerals that resonate with our bones. So we have a connection. It already knows us. And so when we lean into that and we say, yes, please, I have an open heart. I want to learn more. I want to know more. I want to amplify what I already know. We can be in a different union and collaboration with the rocks, with the stone beings in a whole different way. And that's when it really gets fun. That's when the magic starts to happen.
I love this. It's so much fun. Anna Maria, I'm starting to promote people to panelists because I want to get into questions, because I can talk to you all day long. This is so much fun. And so I'm going to start moving some of y'all to panelists. And if you can turn on your video, that would be fantastic. Again, we'll get into the special offer, which includes an amazing package put together to Anna Maria that's still yet to be finished tomorrow, carrying the energy that we're holding here. But it also includes a very special reading with Anna Maria. And Anna Maria Anna Maria, I love you. She gifted me a reading a couple of weeks ago, and the stones that were coming through and the elementals and were powerful, and they were so useful to me in the journey I've had over the last couple of weeks. It's every session I have with Anna Maria is just such truth telling, in the most loving and direct way. And again, I cannot recommend her sessions enough. So again, we'll get into the special offer in just a little bit. Anna Maria, you open to start taking Q&A?
Absolutely. How fun.
Let's start doing it. Okay, so there's some of y'all I want to pick on. And I'm going to pick on a lot of y'all today because we're going to roll through these. But Barb, let's start with you. Welcome to the call. And everybody, find your unmute button, please, so that I don't have to suffer through your fumbling.
How's that? Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, Barb. Yes. Welcome.
Well, it's interesting because I live in St. Mary's, Ontario, Canada, and it's known as the Stone Town. And it's due to the limestone. So there's big stone blocks just in behind my the building where I live that overlooks the river, and there's the stones. I often sit on them. They're full of fossils, but I quite enjoy those. And I also have some rocks that I've picked up over the years, some stones, and I have one that's it's heart-shaped, but it's limestone.
Beautiful. So Barb, what's the question for Anna Maria?
What would the rocks like to tell me?
I love it.
Well, I was just going to say, she's already given me so much. Like I go, hey, kitty cat. Look at this sweet kitty cat behind you. Oh my goodness. Anyway, we'll take a little bit of cat energy, right? We'll take that magic aspect of the cat energy. So I love a couple things that you said, right? Like the first piece about the limestone and sitting on it, right? Like,
Yes.
think about this, like the mechanics and the anatomy. So we sit our tailbone, the bottom of our spinal cord, which holds all the information that goes up and down. And remember, our brain is just this antenna that brings in this information. So when you sit on a stone, like I was saying, I'm going to go sit on some stones, some very specific stones that have been activated in particular ways, you initiate that flow of information. It doesn't take a lot to affect the field to bring in that flow of information. So rock sitting is always a great idea. If you can sit with your, your bum on the rock, that is huge. And then that heart rock piece. So some people are like really, like I say the heart rocks are drawn to them. So my partner, my Zen cowboy, James, they just like, I swear he's a magnet. Like they just show up for him all the time. And I can look and be like, well, that one looks not like the heart. But so there's something definitely potent for the folks who find those heart rocks, because they are naturally created that way. It's not like someone worked it and did this, that, or the other thing. And those heart rocks, for me, it's all, and we've got one of the modules in the course is about heart rocks, because it was like, I was like, well, I know we got to talk about this because this is important. And so that is a really great, I would take actually what they're telling me, take your heart rock out to the limestone and sit. And what it is going to be doing is this heart space transmission for you. About being in the flow and being expanded and being that love in your life. But it also is bringing in some healing, right? Like, because we try and live an open-hearted way, and humans, they're tough and they hurt us, and however that's going to go. But to really bring in that compassion for yourself to the places where your heart is feeling guarded from, having been open and getting hurt. So definitely bring that in. And they're reminding me, like, be well hydrated when you're doing it, before you do it and after you do it. The rocks really pull water from us, and we need more of it. So definitely, and you might even want to put some Himalayan sea salt in your water, just like a pinch, because there's minerals in that, right? And so internally, to help that, I call it the percolation of information, right? Like connecting the circuits. But I feel like you're going to have a really profound download about your heart healing.
Oh, good.
That's lovely.
Thank you very much.
Barb, thank you so much for calling in. And Barb,
it was like we scripted that. That was perfect.
Yeah, one thing I want to commend Barb for, Barb, if you'll allow me, is your playfulness with it, your openness with it, and all that, because that really allows just another level of information and relation to be open in that heart space. Because a lot of times we take a lot of information seriously, where we're supposed to get for it, it's supposed to protect me, it's supposed to do this for it, and we can get kind of heady or even needy about it. And so your playfulness with it and your exploration and your wonder is something that I want to encourage all of us to remember. So thank you for that, Barb.
Oh, thank you.
We do. We want to be like those little kids with that wonder, but we want to have better manners.
Yes.
Yes.
Lovely. Barb, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to our next caller. Amina, it's so great to see you on here. It's been a while. Hi.
Hi, thank you, John. Oh, I'm so excited. I just woke up and I saw that this was available. And so I've just woken up from bed and I happen to have rocks everywhere. I have a really beautiful, sensual relationship with rocks. Like, I feel like I can derive a lot of wisdom in the form of like sensual spirituality through these beautiful beings. And I feel like I pick up particular stones that mirror that energy back. And I'm a poet, so I love expressing my artistry around connecting to the natural world, to human emotions and all of that. And I'm wondering, how can I consciously bring in these beings into my artistry more? And I'd love the rocks to speak for themselves. And I'm holding a unakite in my hand as well, because for me, it's that beautiful merge of the feminine and the masculine, and the iron and the basalt. And yeah, that would just be beautiful to hear.
Yeah, well, I have to tell you, it's so interesting that you talked about the sensuality, right? Of that. So many stones, they work specifically and they resonate with our sacral chakra, our root and our sacral chakra. So right away, as soon as you said that, I'm like, yep, you're right on track with that. And what it is also, that sensual energy is really that spark of creativity, right? To birth the next thing, right? Like as humans, we have sometimes sex and sensuality mixed up. You don't have that problem. You get it. It's all part of the flow. And so to call on those rocks, and here's the thing, you're already drawn to them. So you don't even have to worry about that aspect. But to know and call on those aspects that work with the sacral chakra to bring that flow of creativity through you, and working with that balanced stone, because there's actually stones that are more masculine and stones that are more feminine. And then there's certain conglomerates that kind of have a balance. But you are already being called and drawn to the stones that have that real feminine energy in them that connects to that sacral chakra around creation. So whether that's your poetry, whether that's your manifesting, whether that is just basking in and being in communion with those rocks. There's another piece that's coming through for you, and I just want to ask them a couple more questions here. It's a river rock, actually. So river rocks, right? Like there are all sorts of different rocks that ended up in a river. So you might have some igneous, you might have some metamorphic, you might have some sedimentary, but they're all being affected by that water, that element of water, that feminine carving and moving and flow. So this is all about flow, calling in more flow, and then asking, now what? What am I to do with this, right? So that it goes beyond you, because it's great that we have, phenomenal experiences, but we're being asked more and more to take it out wider, cast our net wider as we're moving forward. So for you, it's all about flow and creativity.
Really beautiful. Thank you. And I do have a river rock over here right next to me. As soon as you said that, I was looking at me.
Of course, right?
Can I ask one question though? Because something that has been coming up for me is really wanting to sustain and improve a right relationship with the land that I'm on. And I'm on sacred Wurundjeri country in Australia, and just being more and more mindful of respecting Indigenous rights and traditions. So I did pick this up at a river, and it happened to be in like a really big, beautiful, powerful sacred site. And last week, an Indigenous sister of mine, she wrote a post about how people are, not respecting the natural world, taking rocks and using them for their own. So it did bring up like this moral sort of dilemma in me. So how do I go about sustaining this expression, but also being mindful? And I'm really grateful that John touched on that at the start. So I know that this comes from a very sacred space, and I did ask for permission, and it was a very strong masculine energy being like, use me, I trust in you. But social media posts like that really kind of made me question my intentions, and I did wonder, am I being this toddler? And especially knowing that the ancestors live in these beings, suddenly my sensual relationship to it as well. I questioned that suddenly, because I was like, this is someone's family, and it just did some really funny things in my mind. So I wondered if you could speak to that.
This is so perfect, right? So it starts with the one that the posts are directed at, right? Are the people who don't have any of that other consciousness, and it's just a pretty rock, right? Your connection is different, but what's beautiful is you're questioning, right? Like we want to stay in the question. Otherwise, our ego has its way, and we just think we can do whatever we want, whenever we want, and slap a rainbow on it and call it spirituality. But so I want you to know that I'm hearing like you're honoring, like the honoring that you bring to everyday life, the questions that you're asking. This is what we want to do. These are the conversations we want to have. And the truth is, that's your ancestor in that rock too. It doesn't just belong to this particular tribe or that particular tribe. We do want to be respectful, right? Like we wouldn't walk into someone's church and like grab stuff off the altar, head up, put it in our pocket and leave. But we have a different view when we're in the natural world. So really what this is about is for you to spread that message too, about bringing that respect, right? And not being the toddler, and asking from a genuine heart space, right? Like I've had to leave rocks before because they told me, no way, Jose, I'm not going. We're not doing this. And so, and that doesn't feel good, right? But the honoring piece, and the more that you go into the questions, the more you're going to expand, the more that you're going to be the example for others as well. So yeah, right? Like when we know better, we do better is really what the whole point is. But that's your ancestry in there too. We're all one
Painting out
tribe.
there. How funny. It's something I want to bring upon, Anna Maria, and I want to expand on this because this is a really important conversation. Because you talked about sensuality from the beginning, and you picked up on something that you felt was for you. You felt the relationship, you felt the intimacy, and I love that you listened to it and the foundation in which you carried it. You know the purity of your intention. And so that as a foundation is wonderful. And then we have posts that are geared towards, I'll say, healing the collective around the feminine and the masculine. So it brought up guilt, it brought in shame, it brought in remorse, sensual energy, feminine, masculine. Did I do something wrong? Was I not being in my right? But it felt right. But now I'm being made wrong for it because of somebody else's interpretation of an overarching judgment. That's a collective story that doesn't pertain to you. So to be in your narrative and recognize your own narrative is really important. And as we get into these energies and as we're amplifying in these relationships, for me personally, and I really get this calling for all of our community, that it's just time to wake up and own what we own and to share from that integrity and from that purity, and to stop acquiescing to the old storylines that are not yours anymore. So own your power, own your sensuality, own your knowing, and own your love, and share with as many people as possible, because that's what's healing the world, not these aboriginal sacred sites that are going to sit there for thousands or millions of years in limbo unless we have relationship with it in this higher consciousness type of way. So you're activating it. When we go to sacred places, when we have relationship, we're activating the ascension of those places as well. So keep doing what you're doing, keep knowing what you're knowing, and please share it with as many people as possible. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Really.
so wonderful. I love this. And thank you, Anna Maria, for allowing me to go in. But the whole guilting and the shaming and all these things that we read, I love that it brings things up in us because we're holding that. And if we're holding it, okay, let's be with it. What's true and whatever we graduated from. But at the same time, let's not get stuck in somebody else's narrative for the sake of their narrative. It just doesn't serve us. So wonderful. I'm going to take more Q&A. And before we get into that, y'all are going to want a private session with Anna Maria. And again, this special offering and what's being transmitted, it's so special. Every time Anna Maria comes on.
It's a real special session. I take you on a shamanic journey, actually, this was all rock channeled. I asked them, what do you want to bring through? And again, the folks who I work with, they have these big hearts, right? And they're looking for their own healing, but they're also looking for healing for their animals. They're also looking for healing for the planet. And so that's a tall order, right? But the rocks brought it through. So I take you through a shamanic healing journey where you get to call on healing for yourself, you get to call on healing for your animals, and you get to call on healing for an ecosystem in distress. And so I take you through that, and I make sure that we have enough time to process what came through, and for me to also share with you other things that have come through. Of course, we always have time for your own questions as well, but it is a potent session. People leave it going, wow, wow, like that's how it is. Like sometimes they can't even have words. So I'm grateful to have that offering above and beyond the modules in the course.
Well, let's get in this. Everybody, the special offer link is in the chat box. April just typed it in. So y'all click on that and let's go through what's available as you participate. You can also get to the special offer by typing into your web browser beyondtheordinaryshow.com / is it Anna or Anna Maria? Let me find it because April likes to trick me sometimes. Actually, it's Anna Maria 25, ANA Maria 25, and it'll take you to that same special offer page. And Anna Maria, if you'll take a few minutes, guide us through the modules and also what people are going to receive. Well, you just went through it, but I'd love another synopsis of it as well, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so we start with an orientation, right? To kind of give you context about rocks as messengers and really giving you this orientation and to kind of guide you what you're going to find in the different modules, some of the pieces that were really coming through. And then we move into these modules, and you can do them in whatever, you know, order you want. There's not a start and a finish. It's very much like the life cycle of a rock. It doesn't just go one direction, it goes whichever way. So this program is great for people who don't like that linear, like I got to do this, then I got to do this, then I got to do that. This is like, ooh, a rock, that kind of energy. So we go into what I love doing is that sweet spot where science meets spirituality. To me, I'm such a nerd for that stuff. I love it. So it's important that we have some basic understanding of the geology, right? Of what's going on. And so we cover the life cycle of a rock, and that helps us understand how rocks were formed. It even helps us start to be able to identify them. And it's not that you have to be able to, oh, this is a schist, this is nice, this is, you know, blah, 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 because I don't even know all of the rocks, right? Like I will defer to my geologist friends in a heartbeat, and, you know, but we should have a basic understanding, you know, geology 101 kind of thing. And so understanding that life cycle. Then we go into module, excuse me, that deals with masculine and feminine rocks. And I'm not talking about boy rocks and girl rocks. I'm talking about charges. I'm talking about an energy, what it means, how to know if a rock has this or that, and why it matters, right? Because it does matter depending on the different activations that we're doing with the rocks. Then we got a great module that deals with just the messages from the stone being. So we go over the overall ones, and then I cover some of the common rocks in each of the classifications. Again, right, we keep coming back to the geology, and then we merge it with the energetics. So we go through, and you actually have a page that shows you, you know, the most common igneous rocks and each of their qualities. Is it masculine? Is it feminine? Which chakra does it work with the most? And then, you know, is it a grounding stone? Does it help with emotional healing? You know, we go through those, and you've got those bullet points. It's like a quick reference chart, which I love because it gives us that ability to go deeper quickly. The next module, the activating your collaboration with rocks, this is where you learn, you put everything together, right? And then we add in sacred geometry, we add in intentions, we add in some things that I don't know what it is yet because they're going to tell me this weekend. I had everything laid out. Like when I do a course, I do them like this on note cards, and each module is like put together, and it's like putting a puzzle together for me. And as they give me downloads, I'm writing it down. So I put the whole thing together. I just finished recording it, and they were like, "You're not turning that in." And I'm like, "What do you mean I'm not turning that in?" I am so turning that in. And they said, "No." You know, again, they're like the synchronicity that the week that you are doing this opportunity comes up. this is not a mistake. This is not a coincidence. This is something that the tribe has called in. And so I'm going to go retrieve that information, yeah, add it to what I already brought through. And so when people purchase this, they'll have access to all the other modules. They'll see that module there, but it says coming soon. So that one will be the wait, and it should be coming out next week, unless they tell me something different, but that's what I know. Then we move into the heart rock energy transmission. I wanted to have some little things that you could have that you could take with you. So I take you through a heart rock self-love energy transmission. And so this is short and sweet. This would be a great aspect for, was it Barb, who with the limestone and the heart rock, to play this, like download it onto her phone, take it out there and play it while she's on the stone with that rock. My Zen cowboy, he also did his, I had him record his little bit on that to explain the heart rocks, because again, he's got a resonance with them that goes deeper. And then, so you know how like in the plant world, we'll work with like sage, right? You can either burn sage to clear a space, or you can play the sage music, the music of the plant sage, and those harmonics can clear the space. Well, I tuned into the rocks and said, well, can you do that? Like, the plants can. It seems like y'all should show up here and give me something. And they did. They gave me this rock vortex infusion. It's like an auric field cleanser on the go. It's like a 10-minute recording infused with all sorts of amazing harmonics, frequencies, vibrations to help clear your field of those low vibrational debris that we just pick up, right? Like when we're moving through our day. So that's a beautiful piece to have on the go. Of course, I can never do a course without adding a group session, right? Because it's so fun, right? Like, yay, we get to play in this energy together. We get to connect with other like-hearted people. You can tell me stuff and I don't think you're crazy, right? I get it. And I'll probably be able to explain it to you at another level as well. So there is a live group session where people can ask their questions. And I always tell people, as you're going through the modules, use the link, write your question right then. You don't have to wait and save them all up, just put it in there. And then during that session, I'll go through the questions, and we'll also do rock readings for people to see what the rocks are coming through for them. And then I wanted to include some bonus material. So there's a PDF, the Stone Beings as Messengers. It covers some of the basic information. I include some experiential exercises like a herbal stone bath, stone sitting. I explain that some more, and other resources, right? Like there are phenomenal folks who have shared information with me that took my understanding to another level. And so there's some aspects to go deeper. And then I'm including an interview that I did on rocks, consciousness, and dowsing. And I actually was able to interview a master and multi-generational dowser from the UK. And it's a fascinating interview. It's like blow your mind, fascinating. So I definitely wanted to include that. And then of course, the upgrade where you would get all the modules plus the private rock channeled harmonic healing session with me. So it's a 30-minute session. I guide you on this shamanic journey to infuse you, your animals, and an ecosystem that you choose with this healing energy. And then of course we have time to interact. I always make sure that we have time because you're going to have questions. You're going to wonder. I'm going to get more information when we're going through the journey as well. That's when it's really potent. That's when everyone's team is showing up. And everything is recorded, right? And so what's beautiful is you can take yourself back through the journey anytime you want to. And I send you the recording of, the whole session with, me talking at the beginning of the journey, me talking at the end, us interacting, but then I'll clip it so that you just have the journey, so that you can play that anytime you want for yourself, for your animals, for the land. But this is that divine inspiration of when we heal ourselves, we heal the planet.
Mhm.
And that's what I loved about the amplification that the rocks bring in. It was such a joy to gather the information and pull it together and get little bits and pieces and see how they worked with other things. And it's just, it's, you know, fascinating and phenomenal. And I've worked with rocks for a long time. And my personal practice includes medicine wheel work. And even with all of that, there were parts during this course that I was just blown away with what came through and how it was explained and how it made sense in a whole new way. So this is next level stuff that we're doing here. And it's about us remembering. And the more of us that remember, the more we create a change on this planet.
I love it. It's such a beautiful course and module in the reading and everything that's brought together. But, and I have to bring it back, the more we're embodying, as we've gone cosmic, as we've gone galactic, as we've gone on channel, then we've gone spiritual, and we're bringing it in, our connection to the elementals, our connection to the stones, our connections to the earth, to all these other places, those codes are activating in ways that we thought were out there, but it's here. It's here. This is next level. When you talk about next level, it's Pablo Coelho's An Alchemist, searching for something outside when it's all right there in your own backyard, right?
Yes.
And that's this transformation, and I'm getting the chills about this, y'all. This is so powerful. It's so powerful. So I hope you all take advantage of it. The pricing's on the special offer page. There's a 2 payment option. With the reading, if you get the reading, it's $247, which is just, again, your session with Anna Maria. It's just, I love my sessions. I almost listened to my session from a couple of weeks ago again today, but something told me not to yet. I think I'll listen to it tomorrow because there was so much. But that was such a gift. And again, to get these modules and this understanding and this intelligence imprinted and encoded within us, it's just, again, it's next level information. And I hope that you all take advantage of it. Not that you have to be advanced in any way, and what that means, advanced, I don't quite know, but just knowing where you are with your heart space and your curiosity and your wonder, that's your access point.
Yes.
And from there, everything blossoms. So again, I hope you take advantage of it.
And the way that I work, it's always cyclical, right? Our intuitive development is cyclical. It's not linear. We always think I'm going there. It's not. It's very cyclical. And that's what allows the uniqueness in working with me is people who are brand new to this and they're like, well, I don't know, I just think rocks are pretty. They're going to walk away with a whole new world, as well as light workers who have been, you know, those earth guardians who have been working with earth energy. They're going to have revealings to them, not just from what I bring through, but when they apply it, their own pieces, like we were talking earlier, is going to come through. And so no matter where you are on your journey, you know, you're new to the possibility that everything is energy and that could be happening in that rock over there, or you're someone who is out there even sharing and teaching this. This is that ongoing personal growth, that professional development, that being a lifelong learner, right? Like that is at my core, in my soul. James is always laughing. He's like, another book, another this, another that. And I'm like, I can't help it. You know, they bring me a piece and then they bring me the next piece. And I'm just so hungry for remembering, right? And then sharing it because it makes a difference in our lives.
So beautiful. All right, y'all. The link is in the chat box. You can go to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/AnnaMaria25 for the special offer as well. And yeah, take advantage of it. And let's continue with more Q&A. I'm excited about the Q&A coming in.
Super fun.
Jeremy, welcome to the call, brother.
Hello. Wow. Thank you so much, Anna Maria. I thank you. Just on so many levels. I had 4 crystal bookstores for 15 years. Wow. And went to Tucson for 25 years. So I'm one of those rock, aficionados. And I'm really appreciating how you're, because I would get dozens, hundreds of people asking me, what is this good for, And I would go to the structure. I'd go to the elements, to the 7 crystal systems that all the elements are, the minerals are a part of, and then look at the composition of granite, limestone, or whatnot. So recently, I just moved to Western Massachusetts, and recently I've been exploring up and down the Deerfield River and a tributary in there, and I have found literally thousands of prehistoric tools, okay, from anywhere from 9, maybe 10,000 years ago to maybe 2000, BC or something like that. And I've been gathering them and putting them in around a home of someone who really loves stones. But, I've probably gathered several hundred, and, this is after lots of, I carry a pipe, so I do pipe ceremonies when I gather stones and, ask and everything else. But I feel like there's some other thing that, why am I bringing out these, 3 to 8,000 or 10,000-year-old stones? And I'm right on the Mohawk Trail, and there's a lot of Native American awareness here, and honoring altars for the Native Americans. And I'm feeling like this is the prehistoric Native Americans, right? But I'm not quite sure what it is they want me to do now that I have probably several hundred of these stones all around my apartment. But I was hoping to maybe, you could tune in and just, if you got a sense about it, that would be awesome. I'm trying beginner's mind here.
Right. So it's so exciting when we come across stones, right, that have been worked or activated in a particular way at one time. They still have it. Oh my goodness.
These are some of the samples. Okay. Most of them are quartzite. This is serpentine.
Yeah.
Okay? Just to give you an idea. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
So, but they're, even if they've been, buried or laying around or not seen for however long, it doesn't matter. The science is showing that it still holds its charge and it's waiting to be worked with again. What I got right away when you first started saying it, and I was getting like these full body vibrations, was it's about remembering and applying the ancient wisdom today, right? Like some of it was just basic tools and everyday life, but some of it was not. Some of it was about that remembrance that we had before we all filed, especially in this country. Like we don't build churches on sacred sites. We just put them up in a community, and we don't always, although the Catholic Church is a little bit better about it, sacred geometry, certain things, although they usually just steal somebody else's site and put their church on top. But it's about applying this, right? Like when we were, when we were taken out of the woods and cleaned up, we were told that all that other stuff didn't matter. It didn't help us. It was of the devil even, right? But you're being asked to bring it back, to bring it out again. The other thing that came through as soon as you started talking, especially the Deerfield area, there are areas there that the Earth's mantle is exposed. And it's like very rare that we would see the mantle. And that creation energy that's in there, like, whoo, that's big stuff. So part of it is you bringing this ancient wisdom forward, but part of it is you collaborating with now what, right? Like, yeah, we can research and we can figure out what they were doing and why they were doing it, but how does it apply to our modern life, right? Like, because we have to have that place where it matters and it makes a difference, because look at the way we're living our lives and we're lost and we don't know. And when we can bring this forward to remind us that this is where we came from and this is what we knew. And the way that they worked with it created like condensers. And we know we can measure it. It like breathes, and so I would take some of those and make a stone circle even and journey in it.
I'm also a stone carver. So I make, I make totems for people and, pendants and stuff. But thank you. That was the remembrance. Like when you said remembrance, it just gave me chills. Okay. So right on. Thank you.
Ooh, so fun. That's exciting. Really exciting.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
And good on you with your knowingness, right? Like you just knew, follow the formation, follow how it came to be. And then, the energy is inherent in that. That's brilliant knowingness, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Thank you so much, Anna Maria. Yeah.
Jeremy, thank you
I
for
love that.
calling
I
in.
still have chills.
Yeah, talking about a wizard and someone in his alchemy and really following the guidance. And it's just, we can learn so much from that. And again, innocently,
Right.
but knowing at the same time.
Yeah. Thank you, John. You're great.
Knowing at the same time. It's so beautiful. Oh my God. All right, let's go to another caller here. I want to call on all of y'all. Can we just have a group call? This is so good. But I have been guided. It's, where'd you go? Hold on a second. I need to find you. I'm sorry. Pamela, there you are. Pamela, please unmute yourself.
Here I am.
Here you are. Welcome.
Aloha, John and Anna Maria. Hello again. Good to see. So, go ahead.
What's your question? Because I'm like, they're already talking over here.
I have a question. I basically just in the chat box, I said, thank you and eternal blessings for your work, because you do such wonderful work and it's building and building. I've seen you build, even, I guess maybe I've been following you for about a year, maybe a little bit more than a year now. And I've seen your numbers build, and it's like right on. Keep it. It's beautiful. So thank you for that. And then I just wondered if there's any messages, any rocks anywhere on the planet have for me today.
Well, it's interesting. And this is what I love about these group readings, right? Because sometimes there's this energy of piggybacking that will happen. And one of the things that the last caller had brought up was, the serpentine stone. And as soon as you came up, that like flashed, or like, that's the one. And so what we're looking at with that is, this is for you about remembering past lives. One of the energies with that serpentine, or serpentinite, is actually the correct term. If we got any geologists, don't write me any letters. But so for you to work with the serpentine or serpentinite and use it to bring back wisdom from your past lives that you can apply today. And I would specifically work with, it's the lives of the time that the last gentleman was talking about, right? Like when you were in your tribe working these stones for everyday use, but also for the spiritual, helping our body remember. So get with that stone, either a picture or the actual stone, right? We work everything in energy. So if you don't have the stone, don't worry, get a picture, a call on it. Our intention is so huge, but specifically applying it to bringing back wisdom from your past lives when you were working with the stones to today, and what they want you to do with that. Woo!
Oh, I love it.
Fantastic. Thank you so very much. Blessings. Always blessings.
Pamela. Anna Maria, I have a question for you. So we asked what messages the stones have for us, but do we have any messages for the stones?
Well, yeah, right? Like we're listening, like we're here, we're ready. And so share with us, remind us how to do this. And the thing is in our cellular memory, we know this, all of us, we were all in tribes, in stone circles at some point. And so to bring that back, and they've been waiting for us to remember. And that's what we're saying to them. We remember and we want to know more, because, temples were built in a particular way to affect the human body and to bring it back into remembrance. And we need to remember more than ever before. We have to remember now.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. All right, let's go to another question. Linda, you're sitting outside in the woods, just sure not. I have to bring the energy into the call. Welcome and thank you.
Hi, thank you. This is such a great call. I've been drawn to rocks my whole life. They call me out. I wear them, I use them for healings, and I'm looking to, actually I have a piece of land that I don't have a lot of rocks, but this one behind me is one that has appeared here. So I'm just wondering how I can more deeply connect and hear them, and what I can bring to them as well.
Right. So the first thing, I would be sitting up against that rock, like with my spine up against it.
Ooh, okay.
You're creating that connection and let it know, right? Like, I'm here, I'm listening, I have no agenda. I want to know more. And then be in that space. Again, we want to be up close to it, especially that one, right? Like,
Yeah. Okay.
yes, exactly. But I would, like a lot of times we go in with an intention. I would keep it open because that rock is actually, or that boulder, I should say, is very chatty and it's got a lot and no one has talked to it in a long time. So it's like, I got all this stuff to say and no one's been talking to me. So you definitely want to have that touch point. And if you could be, even barefoot, that's going to be another way for you to receive those messages. But that is just a phenomenal rock. And I'm feeling this piece about, like it didn't just appear there. It was a long, slow journey to get there to where it is, to this resting place. And it's not its final resting place, right? Like the earth is in weather is going to take its toll on it and it's going to do that. But for you, like, you don't always need to know where you're going, right? Like that's the head part. That's like, I gotta know, just tell me and then I'll do it. And what your team is really asking you, what the rocks are really asking you is surrender. Surrender to the not knowing, because where you are taken from there is way better than the trip you would plan.
Oh, I love that. Oh, thank you so much. Bless you.
You too, and that beautiful boulder. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And I have no other rocks here. I mean, I have a few, but nothing like this. So
Thank you for sharing with us on that.
thank you.
What a gift. Yes, thank you. And Maria, I'm going to take a couple more questions and go in because I'm guided. There's a couple of people that are just coming in, so I hope that's okay. Before we go into the callers I'm about to get into, I want to remind you all the special offer again, the modules, the bonuses, the intelligence flowing through, the grounded codes that are waiting to be activated within you, and truly, they really are. That by itself, the first module, package A, is $147. Then add 30 minutes with Anna Maria and really go deep into this relationship, and just Anna Maria's way of seeing and translating and shamanically just sharing is just, it's so beautiful. So I hope you take advantage of that as well. The special offer links in the chat box, take advantage of it. We're going to run the replay all weekend long. We'll send the replay link out in the email. You can always access replays by going to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/replay. So with that taken care of, let me get to our next caller, which is Michelle C. Michelle, welcome to the call and thank you for being here.
Hi, thanks for having me and welcome back, John. So glad
Thank
you're
you.
better and great.
Me too.
Hi, Anna. Oh my God. I was on a call with you earlier today and I loved what you said. When you said the thing about the centipedes, I was like, yes. I don't have a specific question about the rocks. I'm not sure if you're guided towards any particular one for me. I do have 2 rocks that I got from a package that I purchased about a year ago. And I know that they came with the description, but they still haven't totally resonated. And I don't put them with the rest of my crystals because they're like raw rocks and I don't want them to scratch my polished crystals. So I don't know. Are you getting anything?
Yeah, I'm getting a couple things. Actually, I'll come back to those rocks in
Cool.
particular, and they're beautiful, by the way. And what came through right away, as soon as you started talking, was the rocks talking about the life cycle, right? And like the life cycle of a rock, it goes back and forth. It's not always in just one direction, right? But we get really out of sorts when we feel like we're going backwards, right? But it's not. Like, that's what they want you to know. Like, trust the process, trust the unfolding. And sometimes we have to go back in order to actually be in the expansion of a new direction. So don't judge the unfolding is pretty much what they're telling you. And those stones, I like that you keep them away from your crystals. And I know part of it's just like regular piece about not getting them scratched, but they're different energies, right? Like, rocks are made up of minerals, and a crystal is a particular mineral, but they're different. They're different beings, right? Like they're different species, kind of. And so those two would be really great touch point stones. So if you find, like, you know, the chair you're in or your meditation chair, or wherever, to put one on each side of you. And actually they just corrected me, one in front of you and one behind you. And then, you know, sit in there, touch them, set your intentions, because you're imprinting it, right? Like rocks can be imprinted. They don't just put out vibrations, they can also be programmed. That's what the quartz and the silica in them does. Just like in computers, it can be imprinted. So set your intention. Whatever it is that you're looking to manifest is the easiest place to do that. Sit in that space, you know, activate those stones. And then as you're moving through, you know, you move forward, you move through your day, when you see those stones, touch them. Just a quick touch. It doesn't even have to be both of them, one of them, and reset your intention, right? Because we want to be in manifesting, we want to be beating the drum of what we want more than we're beating the drum of what we don't want. But what we usually do when we're manifesting is we set an intention, we're all excited about it, and then we spend the rest of the time, the rest of the 23 hours in the day, talking about what we don't have. So you touching those stones, reactivating that transmission and reminding your system in your field is going to be really huge. And those are really potent stones, by the way.
Thank you. That's beautiful. I will do that definitely. One more
I
quick,
like how they
quick thing.
corrected me too. They're like, not on the sides, one in front and one behind, because we're talking for you about process, right? And sometimes it's forward, sometimes it's back.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michelle. Great to see you.
Thank you. Great to see you too.
There's so many of y'all I want to call on, really. It's like there's like 5 of you guys right now. I'm like, yes, yes, yes. But I'm going to get to the next caller, and y'all get on other calls. I promise. You raise your hands. We'll get on live. We'll go through information, get the special offer of Anna Maria, go deeper. Again, I'm feeling such resonance with so many of y'all on the call right now. It's crazy. And my wish is that you understand that the questions, the answers are all running through us together energetically. And if I don't call on you, but again, I cannot tell you how strongly the pull is right now physically to call on some of y'all right now. I haven't felt it like this before. So there's something that's happening that's quite profound. And I want to acknowledge that. And I trust that we're receiving, if not in this way, in other ways, and that we're together in this flow. So I wanted to acknowledge that with all of y'all. And the next caller, Beth, let's go to you right now. It's so hard for me, but Beth, let's go to you and welcome and thank you. Beth, can you unmute yourself, please?
I thought I did. I'm so sorry.
No,
I just so much. Thank you for choosing me at this moment. I know you had a lot of choices, and I felt so strong a connection to be here tonight. And in fact, I normally work till at least 5:30, and I was able to get, I mean, just unusual circumstances. But welcome back, John. And I've bought a number of packages from you, and I'm going to buy Anna Marie's. And I'm just deciding about the private because I know she's so awesome.
yes.
Anna, you had a little blurb about the rocks, and you said something to me. And also, I love you, and I wanted to show you Ariel, because you've also given me a hit about her and our bond. And so I want anytime I talk, she comes near me. Anyway, this is not my question, but I do have a question about why the rocks pull the silica out of us, the sodium out of us, actually. But that's not my question. I'm just curious. But I do have a strong connection, especially to boulders and stuff. And the other day, your video was going in and out, and all I got really was that with me, you had a mountain in Tibet called Kailash, and it related to a past life as a Tibetan monk. And that it sounded like, from what I could tell, was that I'm supposed to connect with that past life through that mountain and get some information from my life, or to help me, or I don't know.
Yes. Ding, ding, ding. That was the essence of it, which is so funny because that's why I'm in this other place today, because the internet issues were just ridiculous and crazy. but it's interesting. So yeah, like look that up, Kailash, Kailash. So that, because, and you should feel something actually when you see it. I thought I had a picture of it here, but I don't. But kind of like the past life where we talked with one of the other folks, there's some wisdom from that lifetime that you could be incorporating now. But there's this other piece too with the boulders, right? And your kitty Ariel and all of this is like coming together, and it's well, she's showing up more like a mountain lion energy, right? And I'm seeing her like on top of this big boulder, like, who am I going to pounce on kind of thing. And so for you to be bouldering, right? Like to climb up on a boulder. And it's almost like, remember in The Lion King where he's like, look out, this is all your land, right? Like open up to the possibilities and own your space, right? Like stand in your truth, own your space. I'm seeing all these huge boulders and the way that they stand, almost like sentinels, right? Like holding the truth, anchoring in the truth, grounding that truth. And for you to claim your space and your truth. And your kitty is definitely got some big cat energy in her. And so collaborate with her. And I love, we've had a lot of cat energy here today. And, you know, that's not a mistake. That's not an accident. It's about us remembering our magic, our own personal magic. That's what the cats represent. And when we come into collaboration with the rocks in this intentional, aware, conscious way, we are able to activate our magic in a whole new way.
Beautiful.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. I just really resonate with about standing in my kind of power and strength and truth. And, you know, it's can be challenging, but yes.
Well, Beth, it's not challenging when you own it, because the second Anna Maria said it, I felt your heart relax and like a welling up from inside your heart happening. I don't know if you felt it physically, but I felt it very empathically. So come back and listen and allow yourself the emotions of the release of whatever you've been holding on to for so long that has not allowed that.
Yes.
And just own your space. Beautiful. It's time. Own your space. Thank you so much.
And I wanted to mention one thing about the dehydration, right? That happens when we work with the rocks. It happens when we work with trees as well, but it's a high vibrational energy that just kind of sucks us dry. It really does. And so anytime you're working with the rocks, you want to make sure that you're increasing your, you know, your water intake, and that you could even do things like get your water, like I said earlier, puts a little bit, just a pinch of Himalayan sea salt. So you're incorporating some of the minerals as well. You can even surround, you know, like I drink out of mason jars a lot. And so you can surround the mason jar with some of your favorite rocks to infuse it. I wouldn't put them in because, you know, sometimes there's certain components that we probably shouldn't take internally. So everything is energy. Put them around your glass and let them be infused with that energy.
Okay. Thank you both so much.
Beth, thank you for calling in so much. Anna Maria, would you be really mad at me if I took one more caller?
Not at all.
Okay, good.
Kidding, this is so fun.
This is, I can't help it. Cherry, you have to come on. I don't know what you're going to ask or what you're going to say, but I'm so strongly guided to call on you. Welcome. And let's get you to unmute. Yes.
Hello.
Hi.
Anna Maria. Hi, John.
Hello.
So I have my cat next to me. I also have my medicine bag of little rocks that is so big that I had to put it around my waist instead of around my neck. But so I'm frozen. Can you hear me?
We can hear you great. What's your question,
Okay.
Anna Maria?
So my question is, I have rocks and stones and everything all around me, and I can't say that I really hear what they're saying or understand it, but I'm hoping Anna Maria can tell me, you know, the most important thing that they're trying to let me know about.
And Anna Maria, I think you're frozen. So let's see if she comes back.
That's what I thought, because I was like, wait, she's
Oh,
frozen.
she just dropped off for a second. She'll be back without a doubt. So again, y'all, the special offer of Anna Maria, the links in the chat box, private session, the modules, anything Anna Maria, I highly recommend. Again, the session she gave me a couple of weeks ago was just
This
so,
energy is so strong. It just like blew out my phone. And
oh my
what was
God.
interesting is at the beginning, I couldn't even get in on my computer, right, John? We like tried a bajillion different ways and it just wasn't going to let me do it. And then the phone went and I was like, whoo, this is big energy. But now it let me in. So here we are.
So Cherry's asking what the rocks around her may have to say for her. She can't pick it up. She doesn't necessarily consciously know what they're saying, but there's any messages for her.
Well, it's interesting because it's not the stones that you have there that came through. They actually started coming through before you even, when you first said your name, it just like whoosh came in. And it's a volcanic stone and it's pumice, right? Like we all know pumice, like you use it on your feet, you use it in your toilet, you know, all of these different things. And the energy from pumice is, and they're showing me like, you know, like when you gotta clean your toilet using pumice, like, cause you get the mineral deposits on there. And so pumice is so great for releasing negative energy. And I call it the residue, right? Like the residue from the past that's stuck in places. So I would bring in that pumice stone and apply it to help release that residue because you've done a lot of work, right? Like you've done the activations, you've done the clearings. This is just another layer of releasing, and bringing pumice in can help you get at that residue that's just stuck in those places.
Wow. Okay.
Oh,
Thank you.
Cherry, thank you so much for calling in.
Tummy rubs to your kitty.
Yes. Yes. He's a good boy.
So sweet. Thank you, Cherry, for calling in. And
Thank you.
Anna Maria, as we end tonight's call, I really just have to point what seems so obvious to me. It's like, okay, we buy crystals and stones, or you go out in nature and do all these things, and we have a relationship. And we forget this thing that we've been traditionally taught to be in ceremony with, but we forgot how ceremonial it is. Your feather earrings, the necklace that you wear, the bracelets that I have, we do it for adornment, but there's so much going on with this intelligence.
Yes. Well, and that's the thing, right? Like, it's great. To me, I'm always like, work smarter, not harder, right? So if I can incorporate some different energies of different stones that are going to help keep my vibration up, if I can honor my bird kin when I'm wearing my feather earrings, if I can do my braids in a ceremonious way to know that I'm coming to be with my tribe, we bring a different whole life consciousness to how we move through the world. And in that, again, the deeper of the respect that we bring and consciousness that we bring, you can't outgive Mother Earth. You can't outgive her. So the more that you bring, the more that she is just going to overflow you with these blessings, with the remembrance, with the knowledge. It's not knowledge, it's remembering. You already know it. You've just forgotten it. Here we are again. The geomagnetic field, it's heavy, it's dense. It creates a forgetfulness and amnesia in us. And so when we work consciously with the stones, we can alter that energy and create a space, a zone that allows us to remember and allows the divine to bring in the remembrance.
I love it. My message, my takeaway from all of this, everybody, is remember who the heck you are. Remember who the heck you are. Bring it forward and allow all this assistance and intelligence to help you remember, but allow your remembrance to help that intelligence as well. We're all growing together, and we're at that point in our consciousness that we're activating not only one another in physical form, but activating our earth, activating the other planets, activating the energies. And it's time that we took an active role in the awareness of that, in your leadership and capacity of the gift that you uniquely hold and what that means for all of us. So from my heart to yours, oh, please shine through and just own what you own and what you know, and share just unapologetically with the world, like Anna Maria does, truly, with so much love and grace and wisdom and generosity. And so it's with that, Anna Maria, that I want to thank you for just the awesomeness that you always are and the way that you carry forward. Thank you for being on tonight's call.
Well, thank you for gathering a group of like-hearted people that get it, right? Like not everybody gets rocks. They don't. They're like, why are you picking up another rock? Why are you doing, you know? This is a like-hearted tribe, and you've created a space where we can talk about this, where we can have the conversations, and it sparks our remembrance. Each of us remember different pieces. And again, it's not about, you know, my role is going out and helping everybody remember, right? Is wide as far as we can cast that, but we all make a difference where we are on the land where we live, right? Like that's where we start, and we anchor in that knowingness, that remembrance, and then the asking for more, right? So that we can create sacred space wherever we are.
So beautiful. Well, again, thank you for everything that you do and you be, and the love that you just so generously and with such dignity demonstrate to all of us. And for all of y'all on the call, again, I just feel like I'm at home with family, and I wanted to talk to each and every one of you individually. And I wish I could, but we'll have time because there's more calls and more shows, and Anna Maria hopefully will be back on. I know I'll invite her. And we'll continue the conversation. We'll keep growing together and sharing in such a beautiful way. So again, I love you all. I bow to each and every one of you, and namaste. And I look forward to seeing you on the next call. Have a great evening or morning, wherever you are. And again, thank you.